How's everybody doing? Good. So now we're going to talk about the Visionary Award. So as many of you know, the Visionary Award is given every year by the Anti-Stigma Project. And it's given to someone who has contributed in a really significant way to reducing the stigma associated with behavioral health challenges. Somebody who has contributed to making the system of care more competent and respectful, and someone who has helped all of us to better understand our own stigmatizing attitudes and behaviors. And Cynthia Petion did all of those things, but she did so much more. We had a long conversation a couple of years ago about stigma in the system, and she was recounting some of her early days in the business. After earning her degree in psychology from Morgan State in the 80s, she worked at a psychiatric rehabilitation program. And this was during the first wave of deinstitutionalization. And she talked about working with diverse populations, one of which was Black males on conditional release, and saying, somehow, almost all of the folks had received a diagnosis of schizophrenia. All of them. And she said, it just made me wonder how accurately people were being assessed, that you could have everybody in one group like that, and what role stigma might be playing in that. She saw it personally as well, and I remember her talking about an aunt who was experiencing a mental health crisis, who ended up in the same emergency room she had been in 3 weeks prior for congestive heart failure. To say they treated her differently this time, when she was there in a mental health crisis, would be an understatement. But they didn't know who they were dealing with because Cynthia was there and demanded the respect and the attention that should have been given to her loved one. And things got done. And not only that, afterwards, Cynthia continued to advocate, calling for changes in that hospital across the board. So she joined the Anti-Stigma Project 30 years ago. And she said that when she came to work for the state, first as the chief of the Division of Planning at MHA, and then the Division of Planning at BHA, and ultimately the Deputy Director of Systems Management at BHA, she said she saw an opportunity to shape policy that would impact stigma and discrimination. And she even said, you know, I even ended up addressing it even in myself. And as an administrator with the state, she supported the work of the Stigma Project, championing the need for this work, our excellence in doing it, and the changes that she saw because of this kind of work. She fought for our funding. She played an integral part in expanding our reach and continuing to reach new audiences. And she understood, like deep in her bones understood, how important this work is, and she made sure that nobody swept it under the rug. As a facilitator, she was wise and funny and had a gift for making the self-reflection process, which can be difficult, right? Making it really actually enjoyable. She worked with diverse audiences, often doing a lot of training in colleges and universities, and folks loved her. Loved her. I know, because I read all the evaluations. She worked in diverse venues. She facilitated dialogues about different parts of stigma. And dialogue was a really important word to her. She had a gift for creating true dialogue, where people can meet and connect and change. She believed that even one conversation could have a tremendous impact. I'm going to share a quick story that she shared with me. And no, I didn't tape all of our conversations. I just happened to tape this one because I was interviewing her for something, so in case it sounds a little creepy. So she said, I remember one of the state legislators. They didn't want to approve a housing program for folks with substance use disorders in one of Maryland's jurisdictions. So I, along with one of our department's representatives, went to meet with him. It was clear to me he didn't understand addiction or mental health issues, this legislator. He certainly didn't get that addiction is a health issue. He saw it as a choice. And I said, you know what? I thought that at one time too, but I then learned what I didn't know. And I spoke with him about the importance of people receiving support and services that they need and deserve, the importance of people being treated fairly, of realizing that people have human rights. And I gave him information about our local behavioral health authority, on the public mental health system, information about the Anti-Stigma Project and On Our Own of Maryland. And he said he gained a much better idea of the bigger picture and that he'd never really thought of things that way. And ultimately, that approval went through. That was the way she worked. She had high standards. She was passionate about doing the right thing, even when it was hard. And Shanice, as you know, your mom was strong. She was vibrant. She was funny. She didn't take any stuff. 2 children here in the front. And she was relentless in her quest for making things better for all people. So tonight, we celebrate her with our Visionary Award, our visionary friend. We lost her way too early. I told myself I wasn't gonna cry. But her contributions have left a lasting and positive impact on the behavioral health community and on many of us individually. She has inspired many others to follow in her footsteps and continue the important work that she started. So please join me in honoring the life and legacy of Cynthia Petion, tonight's recipient of the 2024 Visionary Award. And on her behalf, her wonderful daughter, Shanice, is here to accept the award on her behalf.
Thank you, everyone. I'm gonna keep it very short because I'm nervous and my mother was very humble. If anyone knew her personally, you may not have known the work that she did unless it was to support and advocate, because she never wanted to brag on herself or just kind of share all of her accomplishments. But her legacy is here, my children, her grandchildren, and a lot of the work that my mother has done. A lot of the work that my mother has done has inspired me, inspired my children. So we are forever grateful. I'm glad that she's being honored, and I do hope a lot of her work continues. And you'll see it in me and my children as well. Thank you, everyone.